Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat petang. Okay, so so we are going to cover actually from share today, all right, for the first half an hour. So we are going to prepare, for the template for our data analysis for our data in SPSS, all right, before we can do our analysis on the pilot study that we have done, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, compile so all the groups that have done, for certain cluster or certain group of respondent. So we're going to do it afterwards, all right? So if not today, we're going to do it on Sunday. Right. So anyway, today the most important, I would like to introduce SPSS. I know that you have done it before, okay, in class, in especially for my students. I have introduced SPSS in our statistic class. You have done it. You also have learned it. Okay, so today, so we are going to prepare for the template first. Okay, for each questionnaire. So we have 4 different version of questionnaire. One is for penduduk tempatan, for the local community, and then we have for the ketua kampung. We also have the employers, and then also uh, for the foreign workers. Okay, so I will start with apa penduduk tempatan first, okay, because I've seen there are some people already submitted for the penduduk tempatan. So how are we going to prepare the template for this one first, and then I will also go for the employer, because employer is qualitative data, qualitative questions, right? So therefore I'm going to show you prepare for that one also. So for this one, basically for the local community, so if you know how to do it, okay, later ketua kampung, okay, and then also the apa persatuan penduduk, and also same as okay. So you just want to get some idea what you from this questionnaire that you are given. All right. Is everybody okay? So with this one, all right. So we have. Let me see. Okay. Green? Yes or no? Nampak ke tidak?
Nampak, Doktor.
Okay, thank you so much. Right, so ini yang kita akan buat. Okay, so what we are going to do, as I said, what do we need to have now is SPSS, all right? So if you don't have any SPSS, at least you can look first and then take some notes what you need to do, right? And then you need to go back to your group, okay, your group members, and you need to discuss, all right, to discuss the next step that you need to take, okay? So people, may I know how many actually do penduduk tempatan for the local community? Group siapa boleh saya tahu?
Group Hazel. Group Hazel, Doktor.
Hazel,
Danish,
lagi?
Doctor. Danish.
Danish, lagi?
Mangla, Doktor.
Mangga, okay?
Group Aina, Doktor.
Aina, Syaf, group Syaf lah. Okay. Mimi, group mana Mimi?
Group 5.
Group 5 pun buat penduduk tempatan juga? Okay, so it means that we are going to have like 4 groups for penduduk tempatan, for the local community. So later, these 5 groups, you all need us, okay? Because we need to have the same template for everyone. Maksudnya all the 5 groups must have the same template in SPSS. Okay, so we are not going to use different template. So that's the reason you need to look at it first, how I'm going to do it, and then I just give example for a few questions, and then you need to continue. Okay, therefore the 5 groups ni, okay, I mean the leaders, all the 5 leaders, you need to discuss among you all who's need to do this section and so on. All right, and then you need to combine all the variables in your SPSS. Right, so let's begin. Okay, I would like to please make sure you open your SPSS. Okay, so we are going to do this one, yeah? Okay, for the first one, for the local community first. Okay, so please, other groups, please listen because you also need to do for your own questionnaire, right? Okay, so let me open the SPSS. Okay, this is what we have, right? So I mean that everybody needs to have the same template for your data entry. All right. So you need to go to variable view first. For example, okay, I will start this one. And then the first thing we need to have serial number. Okay. Right. So the type of the serial number. Okay, may I know, is there anybody who doesn't know how to use SPSS? Ada tak dalam kelas ni? Yang you don't really know macam mana nak guna SPSS?
Doctor,
Yeah.
Doctor, I don't know how to use. I didn't do the
How come you
statistics.
don't know? How come you don't know?
I didn't do the statistics class. I didn't take it yet.
How come?
Doctor, I didn't do the statistics class
Yeah, I
yet.
know. How come? How come you missed that class?
I didn't take that course yet.
Yeah, I know. That's the reason I'm asking you why.
Actually, that semester, the one that offered statistics, I took like other subjects I dropped before. So there was a collision in my timetable. That's why.
Okay, because you know the prerequisite for this research method is statistic class. So you're supposed to take statistic before you can take this class actually. Right? So that's the reason. Okay, anyway, it's not an excuse. Right? So you still can learn. You just learn how to do it, you know, from friends and also YouTube. Okay? It's not going to be an excuse. All right, so let's begin. All right. Okay, so for the serial number, okay, we need to actually we need to take every single information that we have asked the respondent to answer. Okay, so we need to put them in our SPSS template. Right. So for example, the first one. Okay, remember that serial number is not numeric, it's not quantitative. So we're going to put this one as string, okay? And then for the serial number, we have 3 boxes. So it means that we are going to have 3 characters or 3 spaces for it, okay? And not, yeah. Or maybe I can just put it as number. It's okay, numeric, okay? And then it just there. Yeah, I can take number. And yeah, number, all right, and then decimal 0. Okay, and then just put serial number. Okay, for example, and then measurement, so we make it as scale. That is okay, just put it scale first, right? And then the next one is nama pembanci, right? So I'm looking at that one. So I call the variable pembanci. Okay, for example, right? And then this one is definitely is going to be string, and then I put like 60 spaces for it. Okay, 60. Okay, and then just put label as nama, follow exactly like in our questionnaire, nama pembanci, for example. Yeah. Okay, and then we put it as nominal. Right. The second one, okay, same as telephone number, so we can put it as tel number, for example. Okay, if you have any question, please ask. Okay, don't just keep quiet, right? So the telephone number, I just put like say 15, right? So 15 means 15 spaces for that string, okay? And then just click OK. And then I just put nombor telephone pembanci. Exactly like in our questionnaire. Okay, and then it is nominal again. Right. Same as nama kawasan. I'm not going to do it, right? So you need to continue that one. So I'm going to start with, okay, this one right here. Okay. So part B, right? Just now is actually part A. So also what you can do for the label in order to make our life easy. So we just put A here, right? So we know that one is section A. So A, right? Or sometimes what I do also like this, question A1, right? And then colon. So I know that one is for question section A and question number 1, right? Right. Okay, for the variable, I really encourage my students just use small letters. You don't have to use capital letters because it's easy for us to type. Same thing here. If you want to put, like A1 here, use just a small letter also can. Okay, so we don't have to keep pressing shift and so on, right? Okay, for the next one, okay, part B. Okay, part B is for the respondents information. So we start with nama, right? So nama, and then it's going to be string. Okay, I put it string here, and then the character is 60, and then click OK. Right. So and then I just put B because it's section B, and then I put question number 1. Okay, so it's going to be nama. Right. So next one, okay. Same thing you need to put for the address, okay. So address, what you can do is you can break it into, for example, jalan, nama jalan, the street, and then also the postcode. It depends on you if you want to break that one into different parts, okay. But you can also make it just in one variable, under one variable. For example, address, okay. So, but you need to remember because it has like postcode, street name, and so on. So the here is going to be string, and then you need maybe like put like hundreds. Okay, so 100 characters. So just in case we have a very long kampung name and so on, so it will fit in our column. Okay, later. All right. So this one you just put, for example, B2, okay, address. Okay, so this one is easy because all this if you can see, is all categorical measurement. All right. So what happen if we have, for example, Jantina, which is sex, okay, Jantina, okay, for example. So this one is going to be numeric. So I make it this one 0. Okay, I don't want any decimal for this one. So I just put, for example, B, and then Jantina will be question. So that's the reason, actually, it's good if we can put number 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So it's easy for us to put it in SPSS. Okay. So Jantina will be question number 4. So I put it as B4 here, and then I just put Jantina, right? So in this case, we have option. This one got option, so we need to define the option in the values column. So I just put 1 for lelaki, for example. Okay. And then add, all right, and 2, I put it as perempuan. Okay, so the same procedure that you need to take even the questionnaire in English. It doesn't matter whether the questionnaire in Malay or English, you need to do the same thing, right? So this one, you need to put again, define the measurement as nominal, right? Okay, the same thing for the status. Umur, for example, this one, all right? So we have umur age, for example. So this one is numeric. So because it's continuous, age is continuous data variable, so we can have decimal for that one. So just leave it, the decimal as 2, okay? So we put it here, B, and then B5, all right? So, and then umur, for example. So here you need to make sure it is skill, all right? So that one is umur. And then for the status, for the marital status, it's going to be the same that you need to do, just like what we did for jantina. And then pekerjaan, all right? So pekerjaan, this one will be qualitative. So it means that, so for example, pekerjaan, okay. So pekerjaan, we have this one string, okay, because they need to describe what is actually their occupation. So I can put this one 60, all right. So and then click OK, and again make sure this one is nominal. Let's put B, B whatever. So it's going to be pekerjaan. Okay, is everybody okay? Okay ke tidak? Okay tak?
Okay, Doktor.
Okay, very good. Okay, Ain. Okay tak Ain?
Doktor.
Ya, ya Intan ya.
Doktor, yang perkahwinan tu kena buat yang ni kan?
Macam jantina.
Ya.
Satu bujang, dua berkahwin, tiga bercerai, empat lain-lain.
Okay, terima kasih Doktor.
Okay, you all remember, okay, so when it comes to lain-lain, right? So it's going to be, I really hope that you still remember how we did in, siapa yang tadi Intan eh? Is it Intan?
Amira Puteri.
Oh, Mira. Okay, sebab Intan bukan yang kelas saya. You are not in my class, right? Last semester? Intan?
In your class.
Oh, itu kelas saya. Oh, ampun, ya ampun. Okay, so I think for my students, they know how to do this one because I already show how to do this. I think in our chapter 1, in our chapter 1 from our module. So if you forget how to do it, please refer to our module. Okay, so anyway, so Intan, Mira, whoever lah Intan ke Mira ke. So how about the status perkahwinan, alright? So I just put it status, for example, all right? Don't put your variable name too long. If you want to make it 2 words, I know actually we can do that way, but I prefer to use underscore in order to combine 2 words, but make it short, okay? Right, so for example, status, okay, so marital status, yeah? So this one, so we have an option. So again, whenever you you have an option, try to avoid the decimal point. So make it 0, right? And then so the values is going to be like this, right? So we have 1, for example. So let's say bujang, okay? And then we add. And then 2, we have berkahwin, okay? And then we add, right? So number 3, we have bercerai. Okay, bercerai. Okay, and then 4, lain-lain. Okay, you add that one. Okay, okay. So the problem is, when we have, if our respondent choose others or lain-lain, so we want to know what is actually their answer. So what I can say here is, for example, status lain. Okay, I put it as status lain, right? So and then, okay, so I can do this one. So the status line will be, for example, you call it as B, for example, and then this number, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I call it 6A. Okay, because it's a just sub question from question number 6. Okay, so I just put status. Okay, line, right? Line. Right. So, in this case, it cannot be numeric, people. It should be string because they can answer whatever they want. So I put it again like 50 here. Okay, it's up to you. The characters you can put 50, 60, it's up to you. Okay, so this is how you need to do for part B. Right, I stop here for 2 minutes. Okay, for those who actually want to ask question or you want to actually digest what we have just discussed, right? So I give you time, all right? So before we continue to the next one. Okay, any question? Ingat semua orang nanti, okay, the 5 groups you need to maksudnya have a agreement what the name of the variable. Maybe you can divide, for example, okay, you do part 1, you do part 2, you do part and so on. Okay, if you look at untuk penempatan, for the penempatan, so let me see the question. There are many, actually the question got lain-lain. So this is what you need to do, right? So you need to do for question B, let's say B6, okay? Okay, status. Okay, so anything, any question that has line, you must put it as 6A or 6B, okay? It depends on what kind of option do you have. Okay, any
Doktor,
question?
ada
Yeah,
soalan dekat chat box.
chat box, ya. Kalau daripada survey tak ada yang jawab lain-lain, nak kena buat kena buat juga ke? Yes. Okay, because this is template. Right, it doesn't matter because this one only your pilot. Okay, nanti later you need to do more. You need to find more people for actually your actual study. So maybe that time there are some people will answer lain-lain. So we need to prepare. Okay, we are preparing the template not based on your whatever responses that you get from your respondent. No. We are preparing the template based on the question in our instrument. Okay, that one is totally different. Ada faham kah, Syafika? Okay. All right. So anything else? Okay. The next one that I would like to actually to show you how to do is actually, let me see. Kalau you tengok, okay, and the rest will be the same in terms of, for example, we have for section 4 for the infrastructure. Okay, so how are we going to do that, right? So they have option number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So for example, okay, this is for section 4, right? So I got for example, question number 1, I got hospital, right? For example, hospital, and then they need to choose, okay? So this one just put it 0, okay? Oops. Okay. And then, so I make it this one 4, okay, 1. As I said, I don't want to use any capital letter. I also can do like this. Okay, 4, 1. Okay, so 4, 1. Hospital, right? Hospital. Okay, so, and then we have values here, right? 1. Okay, so you say sangat tidak mencukupi. Okay, add. And then number 2, tidak mencukupi. Okay, add. And then number 3, we have mencukupi. Okay, add. And the last one for sangat mencukupi. All right, and then I just add. Okay, so click OK here and then make sure this one is ordinal, right? Because it's ordinal data. Right, people, for the next one, so I have like polyclinic, for example. Okay, so it's going to be the same as hospital. So this one will be 0. Right, so and then I just put 4, 2, okay? And then polyclinic, right? And then what we can do, okay? So we don't have to retype this option anymore. We can just copy and then we just paste it here. So the same thing for all the 17 questions. Understand? Faham tak? Okay. Thank you, Hazel, for answering me. Shikin. Faham ke tidak, Shikin? Shikin?
Faham, Doktor.
Hui, terperanjat tiba-tiba suara Shikin muncul. Shikin, okay. Ini Shikin Diana. How about Shikin Yaakob?
Faham, Doktor.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Okay. Alright. So, Christopher, are you okay? Okay. How about Faris? Faris,
Oke, dokter.
boleh buat tak? Rasa-rasanya boleh
InsyaAllah.
buat? InsyaAllah. Okay. I'm happy to hear that, Faris. Okay. How about Ichi?
Doktor,
Yes, Danish.
yang pekerjaan tu yang B underscore memang kosong
Mana? Ya. Oh, saya mana yang pekerjaan? Saya
dekat
saja tak
level.
nak type.
Okay,
Saya okay. Ya, itu you kena buat sendirilah. Okay.
okay.
Okay, Danish. Baru tinggal sikit je, Danish. Sikit je. Alright. So, okay. So, how about you all dah tahu how to do this one for the, if we have any skill or whatever. Okay, let's do, for example, section 5. Okay. For the, social issues and also development. Right. So, for section 5, now we have a very long question. So for example, number 1, adakah terdapat interaksi di antara penduduk di kawasan anda dengan pekerja asing? So you want to name a very good variable. Okay. So what you can do here, for example, this one is section 5. I take, a very, what should I say, keyword in this question. So the keyword is interaksi. Okay, so and then I put this one as we have option. So this one is 0. Okay, and then so here I got 5. Okay, 5.1 for example. So I need to copy down every single word in that question. You know why? Because it is useful for our future use. So that's the reason. Okay, so you just type adakah terdapat di antara penduduk okay, so I'm not going to finish the sentence, but I just want to show you how to do this one. Is it okay?
Okay, Doktor.
Rafi? Okay, nama muncul but the person is not exist or what? Doesn't exist. Apa dia Mira?
Saya cakap okay tadi.
Okay, how
Lain
about
lambat.
Ryan? Ryan okay tak?
Oke, dokter.
Siapa yang lain lambat? Okay, terima kasih. you know what, people, when I listen to your voice, even I cannot see your face, but it really sometimes it really, apa orang cakap, it really cheer me up, okay, make me really happy. So that's the reason, because I'm not going to I cannot see you directly like in class, but at least hearing your voice is good enough. Okay, all right, so understand that. Can you okay, so now group 5, group 5 pula, group pekerja tempatan, pekerja tempatan. What am I saying? Penduduk tempatan. Okay, all the leaders, okay, you need to discuss among you first, and then you need to divide the work, and then you go back to your members and discuss with your members. All right. So it's very easy. So maybe what you can do, maybe you can start, creating a WhatsApp group among this group for penempatan untuk penduduk tempatan. Sebab the next we are going to, you need to collaborate among these 5 groups. Okay, semua orang okay tak? Okay, any question?
Doktor.
Okay, very good, thank you. Okay, so Arman, okay ke tidak, Man?
Okey lagi doktor.
Okay, Alhamdulillah. Okay, that's what I want to hear. Itu kat kampung you ke gambar tu, Man?
Mungkin kot. Saya tak tahu gambar apa ke.
Tak tahu gambar apa?
Ah,
You bukan you dengan Danish ke satu grup ke? Bukan ke?
Betul.
Ustaz kan?
Dekat depan rumah saya tu doktor.
Oh, yelah, siapa tu? Ayah you?
Ya, saya.
Okay, alright. Okay, so anyway, okay, I've already shown for quantitative questionnaire, okay, version, I mean. So this one is for the local community, persatuan penduduk, and also the foreign workers. Okay, but now I would like to show what happened if you have, qualitative questions all the way, especially for the employers questionnaire, right? So let me show you. Okay, so we have the employers. Okay, this is the questionnaire for employers, right? So you have like the name, post, right? And then you have all the questions. Actually, it's like interview question. So what you need to do, okay, I will show you what you need to do in SPSS, right? So that's the reason we need to learn both for qualitative and quantitative analysis. So because you may need to use it, even you use mixed method in the future. So at least you already have knowledge how to analyze this kind of questions. Understand? Okay, mari kita tengok. Okay, so I'm going to use this one, yeah. And then kita akan masukkan. Okay. Okay, kejap ya, sat. Saya rasa saya better ambil gambar, saya guna my phone untuk this one. Jadi easy nanti, easy for me. Alright. Yeah, we're going to just maybe do 3 examples for the employers questionnaire. Okay. Okay, what do you see on your screen? Is it still SPSS or what?
Tak ada.
Zero.
SPSS
Gelap doktor, gelap.
Oh, gelap. Wah, ini macam nak hujan kat sini, dah nak hujan. Okay, so let me get back. Okay, dah nampak SPSS? Can you see?
Tak doktor.
Okay, good. Alright, so kita akan buat for the employers questionnaire. Right. same as before. So you must have the serial number. Okay, the name will be the same. Okay, nama pembanci, nama your respondent. Okay, so you're going to have, for example, name, sama just like before. Okay, name, and then it's going to be string. Okay, string. Okay, for name maybe you just put 60, 70 is okay, right? 60. And then we have name, okay, name. So you just put section A, for example, if you want to name, right? So, and then this one, okay, supposed to be nominal, correct? Okay. And then the next one, so the next one is jawatan, all right. So sorry, saya, yeah, it's post, right? So you just put post, for example, and then again string, okay, 60. Okay, for employees people, please pay attention how to do this, all right? And then you just put B post, for example, A. Okay, A, tadi A2, yeah, post. So the first one we have A1. Okay, so that one is will be the same as what we did for before, and then again age you have like make it this one exactly like umur. Okay, so we already did that one. So it's like this one, this version right here, B5. And then we also have gender, same thing. All right, you need to define the label, the value label. Okay, now it comes to the question. Okay, as I said, the question is very, very long. Therefore, you need to find one keyword for your variable name. Okay, so for example, question number 1. What is the role of your organization with regard to the settlement of foreign workers? So I can find this one. The name of the variable is role, for example. Okay, so I make it string. Okay, remember for qualitative, you don't have most of your question, okay, will be string. Okay, so I put it because they can put a very, very long word. I maybe can put 120 and so on, right? Characters. Okay, so I just put B1, for example, and then you need to copy down the question, all right? So what is the role of your blah blah blah? Okay, so and then just make sure this one will be defined. The measurement is nominal. Okay, right. So the same thing for question number 2. How does the presence of foreign workers affect the roles or functions of your organization? So the keyword here, I don't put it as a role or function, but I put it affect. So we know that one, how it actually affect their role and organization. Okay. So I put it again here is a string. I just put 120, okay, for example. Okay, and then so here you just type B2 and then copy down the question, right? So here and then we have nominal. Okay, so the next one same, right? The third one, so let's look at the question. What are the decisions, action that need to be taken by your organization with regard to the foreign workers settlement? So I put it here is decision. Okay, so that's the keyword. Right, so and then again this one string and this one 120. Okay, make it 120. Okay, and then so B3 and then the question. Okay. Okay, for employers people, do you understand?
Yes, Doctor.
Okay, siapa yang buat employers? May I know? I know one
Group
of the
Hazel.
Hazel. Who else?
Aina.
Group Atika.
Aina, Iza.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, all right. I would like, okay, originally, okay, I will refer to the original list, okay. So actually we have 12 or 13, including Yuman. Okay, Yuman, are you here, Yuman? Yuman? Tak ada. Kalau daripada survey tak ada jawapan yang lain-lain, oh yang ni saya dah jawab, okey. Faham data, okey, no, gelap gelita. Okey, for Hazel. Okay, because I remember, okay, if possible, maybe we can, for the template preparation, the SPSS template preparation, maybe we can go back to the original list of group, okay? So actually, who actually do the employers, how ke tak ada Tak ada we didn't decide that way. Is it? Sebab saya pun cannot remember because I have another group. Cannot remember. Okay. So anyway, but the most important, we need to have this one well prepared before we can enter our data next week. Okay, before that, I just would like to remind on Sunday, okay, on Sunday we are going to have, nanti saya akan beri you masa, I'm going to give you time actually for your ujian, for your test for objective section only. Okay, so it will contain like 20 questions, okay, in the objective. So you need to answer that one in your e-learning. And then on Thursday next week, so we're going to have the second part of the test, which is actually AC part, right? Okay, so I will let you know how am I going to handle the AC part, the second part of your test next week, right? So, but on Sunday, is definitely you're going to have your first part of your test, which is for the multiple questions answer. All right. Okay, ada apa-apa soalan? Anything?
Doktor, Sunday ni ke?
Apa dia, Danish?
Hari Ahad ni.
Yes, next Ahad.
Ahad
Boleh
ni
kan? Cuti?
tiga hari bulan
Cuti ke?
Tak.
Taklah doktor.
Saya pun tak tahulah sebenarnya bila cuti, bila tak cuti. I'm so pening, you know. I'm so pening.
Oh,
You know what?
Saya ingat exam tu 1 hari gitu masa kelas Khamis. Rupanya 2 hari ya doktor.
Sebab saya make it separate. Satu for the for objective and then for AC. Okay, you know what? Actually, I've been working, you know, almost every day from 8 in the morning. Saya menatap my laptop until like yesterday is like almost 11 p.m. Same thing tonight. Okay, tonight also I have class until 11. So that's the reason I don't know whether cuti ke apa ke, I know nothing about it until students tell me, okay doctor, cuti, we shouldn't have a class. Oh, okay, all right, so just in case, all right, so I'm not sure because tomorrow Johor mana celebrate New Year, so Johor kerja lah, only Selangor. Yeah, Danish memang duduk di Selangor, but you need to follow Johor, okay Danish? So we're going to have class, right, on on Sunday. So anything, just let me know, all right? The question is actually is ready, is already ready. Just that I need to click unhide dia daripada you all in the e-learning, all right? So okay,
Doctor,
yes.
I have a question. Doctor, the test will be during the class period? Like
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, during the class period.
Doktor,
Ya.
yang kan doktor tu buat ada yang objektif dengan essay kan? So 3 bulan tu essay dulu ke objektif dulu?
Objektif.
Okay.
Alright, objektif dulu. Nanti yang hari Khamis tu baru essay. Only on Thursday, okay? We're going to have the second part on Thursday. Alright, is everybody okay tak? Okay, so let's have a look what happened if we click to our data view.
Doktor,
Okay, yes.
doktor yang itu multiple choice tu cover which chapter?
Sama, chapter yang sama.
Chapter yang sama mana?
Saya dah inform kan, chapter 1 until chapter 6 is, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. 1 until research design.
Okay, thank you, doktor.
Okay. Okay. So this is what happened. All right. So later on Sunday we are going to maybe talk like half an hour how to enter the data. If you can start entering your data on your own, that's very, very good. Okay. So you just put, for example, the serial number 001. Okay. So this is the problem when we make it number. If we make it, like we make it like apa tadi string, so it will appear. Okay, this is I think maybe we can use string instead. Okay, for example, this numeric I change it to string. Okay, right. So because you know why? Because it's better that way, because we can put like this 0.01 according to our serial number on the questionnaire, all right, itself. So and then pembanci, so this one will be the nama. So katakan we have Atan, all right, and then the telephone number, for example, and nama this one ialah nama respondent, katakan Encik Kadir. Okay, so I just put Encik Kadir, and then the address of Encik Kadir 23 Jalan Timun. Okay, Jalan Timun, Kampung Tembaga, 8200 Johor, for example. Okay, right. So this is the way. Okay, again, when you want to type for your data, you don't have to use capital letter and so on. So just put everything in small letters, so it will be faster for us to type. Okay. So this one 2000. Okay, right. So that's what I want you to do first. You need to prepare the template for all 4 questionnaires, 4 different versions. Okay, and then on Sunday we are going to talk about this one, and then on Thursday next week I'm going to on Sunday you need to enter the data, and then we are going to do the analysis for our pilot study on Thursday next week. While having also our test for our second part of our test. Understand? Ada soalan apa-apa tak? Ada soalan? Okay, people. So what I want... Tak ada? Okay. So what I want you to do next, I want you to attend a webinar. A webinar now, right? So I'm going to share you the link of the webinar is how to write chapter 5. And then it is, the speaker is Dr. Ahmad Juso. Do you know him? Dr. AJ? Kenal tak siapa Dr. Ahmad Juso?
Tak.
Ha?
Kenal doktor?
Kenal ke tidak?
Kenal.
Kenal. Okay, so Dr. AJ is giving a talk right now. Actually, I'm the one who actually organized and handling the webinar. So I would like all my students to attend the webinar and listen to what actually his experience and also his knowledge on how to write chapter 5. okay, in your FYP. Is it okay? Boleh kan? So sebelum kita pergi ke webinar, marilah kita scan our attendance first. Okay.
Doktor,
Ya.
Doktor, I nak tanya ni, kalau yang objektif move kepada Khamis boleh tak?
Objektif tak mana?
Objektif questions exam.
Tak faham.
Sebab kan hari Selasa minggu depan ada
Ha?
presentation untuk 3 report.
Okay.
So yang
betul,
yang
Doktor.
MCQ question tu boleh move dekat Thursday tak? Sebab kami belum buat slide lagi untuk yang report tu.
Okay. So what you are asking me now is to postpone the test on Thursday. Macam gitu?
Yes, Doctor.
Yes, kan,
Okay,
doktor.
alright. Don't worry, saya orangnya yang sangat baik hati. Okay, how about like this? Okay, on Thursday next week, we are going to do the objective, right? And then the coming, okay, I will see, okay? Whatever it is, I'm going to tell you on Sunday, right? Whether I'm going to do the whole thing on Thursday or I still want to separate it on Thursday and the following Sunday, alright?
Thank you so much, doktor.
Okay, welcome. Tang tu kena belanja sikit lah. Jangan duk ni je kan, air liung aja tak mau lah.
Okay, doktor.
Kenalah saya pergi belanja saya apa-apa ke yang ni kan yang patut ke.
Sure, doktor. Thank
Okay,
you so much, doktor.
Okay, saya nak buka ni. Okay. Right, so kita pergi section 2 lah dulu ya.
Doktor, yang webinar tu doktor dah share link
Tak, belum lagi. Sat. Saya kasih you all buka, you all punya ni dulu scan. Sambil tu nanti saya boleh ni. Saya boleh share the link. Alright?
Doctor,
Yes.
where will you send the link, in the group or here?
In group.
Okay.
Group. Sat,
Doktor, tu QR code boleh bawah sikit lah.
Bawah
Okay.
sikit doktor.
Okay, Sat. Oh. Okay tak? Sekejap. Nampak ke tak?
Boleh doktor?
Dah doktor. Terima kasih
Okay.
doktor.
Okay, for those who already scan your attendance, you can go straight to the webinar, okay?
Thank you doktor.
Welcome.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, I will check you there.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay,
Thank you, Doctor.
you're welcome.
Happy New Year.
Oh yeah, Happy New Year. Yay, besok Happy New Year everyone. Okay.
Thank you, doktor.
Kita doakan 2021 better than 2020. Okay?
Doktor, saya nak tanya.
Yes.
Saya nak tanya tentang final exam.
Banyak exam yang mana? Wah, dah advance sangat man.
Sekejap.
Okay, siapa yang tak sempat untuk scan kat sini, tumpang scan dekat section 1. Kejap. Saya pun sekejap. Okay, siapa yang tak done kat sini, tumpang kat section 1.
Okay, doktor.
Dah keluar kan?
Saya
Nampak?
saya nak tanya pasal final exam doktor.
Wah, advance ni Man.
Sebab dah keluar draft kan. Ke Doktor tak
Okey.
tengok?
Oh,
Sebab
saya
ada
pun tak ada
apa ni
lagi.
subjek yang clash Doktor.
Okey,
Okey.
subjek apa dengan apa tu?
Subjek research method dengan IBG, International Business Globalization.
Siapa yang ajar kelas tu?
Dr. Shah.
Okey, nanti saya akan maklumkan kepada office lah.
Okey.
Dan kita tengok macam mana.
Okey, terima kasih Doktor.
Alright, okay, terima kasih Man. You're welcome. Go to the webinar, okay? Don't run away.
Thank you, Doktor.
Okay, Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year.
Sampai raya.
Thank you, Doktor.
Selamat Raya. Selamat Tahun Baru.
For example, maybe you will suggest by doing what we call longitudinal study. Okay, maybe you try to explain certain phenomena by doing longitudinal study, but then because of the time constraint, you cannot do that. Okay, so we can suggest that. Meaning that if you want to know the real effect, then maybe longitudinal study will be the option. But since the time is the constraint, then we cannot afford to do that. Okay, my last not lecture lah, my last discussion is that how or the step how to organize discussion of limitation. Okay, so when we discuss study limitation, please do not simply list and describe your limitation. You have to do more than that. Okay, so you should explain how this limitation have influenced your research finding. Okay, and then of course there will be multiple or several limitation in our study, but you only need to point out and explain those, maybe one, maybe two, those limitations that directly impact your research question. Okay, no need to list everything. The one that really impact your research question, just focus on that one. Okay? So there are three basic steps of organizing your discussion of limitation. The first one is that identify the limitation. Second, explain how they impact your study. And the last one, propose the direction of for future study. Okay. Okay. The first one, identify the limitation. Okay. So here, as I said, we should focus on the limitation that have impact on the quality of your finding. Okay, your finding, whether the finding in terms of the quality will be affected. Maybe we have to do, what we call, explain, reinterpret, do some further interpretation due to this limitation. This is the first one. Okay. Second is that explain the nature of the limitation and how that potentially impact your study. For example, if you use quantitative research design, okay, and you fail to employ probability technique, and so you should provide reason, okay, why you go for non-probability sampling, okay, because non-probability sampling normally hinder us from doing generalization at a larger scale, okay. But then it is common because in social science sometimes this it is by nature it is very very impossible to do the probability sampling. The only choice that we have in hand is that we use non-probability sampling. So we go for that. But what the only thing we need is that to justify why we go for non-probability sampling. Okay. So that is the second part, and the last one is that we will propose the direction for future study. After acknowledging your limitation, okay, you need to discuss some possible ways to overcome this limitation in future studies. Okay, so the third one here, actually this one is optional, not compulsory, but if you have ideas, so it is okay for you to put forward. Okay, so one way to do this is to present alternative methodologies and ways how to avoid these issues to happen again in the future. Okay, so because you have experience collecting data, dealing with the respondent, so that will give you ideas, okay, how to avoid. Actually, we are helping the future researchers so that if they replicate our studies, and then they take into account our suggestion, hopefully the finding will be better. Okay, so everybody can refer to that, to our finding and to the future finding. So that is what we call the progression of the knowledge, how it's happened. Okay, slowly being developed from one researcher to another researcher. So we are helping to each other. We are what we call a research community. Basically, because in research there is no totally new research. We always depending on the previous one to give some ideas to improve things. So that's how we do it. Okay, so I think that's all my sharings. Okay, I open for any discussion. Okay, or any question. I will try to answer. And also, if you have issues, then if I cannot answer, then maybe I will respond to you. If not now, maybe later lah. Okay, just give me your contact. I will respond. Okay, in my house, raining is quite heavy. I don't know the quality of sound here, whether the raining sound really disturb or just nice. Okay, so I stop sharing. Okay, any question? Maybe some of you now doing the write-up for chapter 5. Okay, you have issues. You can mention your problem in data collection. You can mention problem in the finding, and hopefully I can assist on that part when come to how to elaborate in chapter 5. Okay, before that, okay, some student, we are quite confused. Okay, we are quite confused. The thing that we mention in scope and in limitation, because sometimes we just repeat whatever we mention in scope. Scope in chapter 5. Scope in chapter 1. Chapter 1, we have problem statement, we have research question, research objective, we have significance of the studies, and then we have the scope. Okay. Sometimes we just repeat the scope in chapter 5. We call it limitation. So actually there are some differences, scope and limitation. Scope, sometimes we call it delimitation. Okay, scope by design, we do the scoping. For example, we select these industries by purpose. We select several type of respondent by purpose. Okay, so when by purpose and by design we select the respondent or the type of methodology that we choose, then that one is not a limitation. That one is, we call it delimitation or we call it scope. Okay, that one is quite common in research because we want to focus on certain angle. So when it comes to generalizing the finding basically only works on that scope, which is okay. Okay. But what happens is that when since in the very beginning we already have the scope, okay, let's say this is the boundary, and then when we have the limitation, the boundary will get smaller. So we cannot, the problem is that we cannot expand the generalization become bigger because of this limitation. So the limitation will make the boundary of generalization become smaller. Okay, so there is so that's why you have to be aware on the differences between scope or delimitation and limitation. Okay.
Okay, Dr. J.
Assalamualaikum.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, you can continue. Who is it? Boleh tanya. You can continue to ask.
Assalamualaikum. My name is My name is Zainal here. I'm doing the PhD. Okay, now I just want to know the rules of thumb because here mentioned about the limitation for the sample size and the methodological. Because from what I read and from previous research that what's the ideal for sampling? Because from Roscoe's studies and also from other Umar Sekar that proposition of rule of thumb where sample size larger than 50 and less than 500 are appropriate for research. Is this applicable to current research or not? That's my question.
Okay. There are a lot of rule of thumb for sample size. Okay. So based on the rescue and et al, for example, they are suggesting 500. Normally, if you can get 500 and more, that is what we call big enough. So when we have very big enough sample, so we can avoid the issue of not normal and also some kind of biasness. So when come to because like this, because for parametrics test, the previous statistical technique, they are very sensitive on the issue of normality. So in order to avoid non-normality pattern or distribution, so they were suggesting that we should get more sample. So that is the reason why 300 and more is good numbers. Okay, but then not every research has the ability to get this size. Some industry is easy for you to get and to approach the sample. In some industry, and also in another what we call it depends on the type of sample. Respondent, some hard for you to get reach to them. So that's why even to get 100 or 200 also is quite difficult. So we try to get, okay, so as I mentioned before, normally the examiners want to see, that's why you use observe some of the theses. They call it first wave, second wave, third wave. First, second, third wave normally showing the attempt to reach and to get the respondents. Okay, by showing that we know that this is the what we call the commitment of the researchers to get the highest numbers of respondent, but and then towards the end, if we cannot get the desired numbers, we have to live with the data. We have to accept that, and then towards the end, we will do some declaration. For example, because the data is less than 100, so maybe okay, this finding only explain the phenomena for this group of people. This finding would not telling us a bright, not telling us the what we call the true picture of the whole population that we desire to study. So it means that it's may appropriate for certain segment of respondent. So it go back to the profile of the sample that you have. Okay, so just declaring that one.
Thanks, Doctor.
Okay, welcome. Okay, good question. Another question, please.
Yes, Doctor, I have a question.
Okay, Ahmad Gilani, okay.
Yes, Doctor, can you explain that what kind of bootstrapping technique is good for sampling biasness, or how we, rely on good sample by bootstrapping technique? So what is the most appropriate technique, and how can we handle the sampling biasness?
Okay, normally, I don't know, the what we call the common technique nowadays is that we use the PLS, smart PLS, and then in smart PLS, bootstrapping, normally we choose 5,000. So that is the common technique that normally used. So the idea for do the bootstrapping technique is that because of the sample size is too small initially lah. So basically the sample size is small. So but in bootstrapping basically they do the sampling in sample. So that is the concept of bootstrapping. Sampling in sample for 5,000. So hopefully that will eliminate the element of biasness, because they do the averagings, they do the what we call the averaging basically, okay, the smoothing out, and then the what we call the smoothing out the all the outliers. So the computer will do it for us. So that's the basic idea of that. So that's why when they do the bootstrapping techniques, they are a bit confident that your finding can be used and can be used for generalization. Okay, and of course, if you that's why you have to be familiar also with the assumption. So any technique normally back at the back, basically they will list, okay, if you use this, these are the assumptions. If you use this, these are the assumptions. So be familiar with that assumption. Okay, because only like in model building normally the what we call in model building how to make it work is that they will have some assumption behind that. Okay, so that's how same thing, for example, in any economic formula, for example, okay, in any mathematics or statistic formula, so they always come together with certain assumption. So in research, it is okay to have certain assumption. Okay, but you have to know, because assumption normally is the what we call the um, the setting or the scenario that make that enable the model works. Okay, so under the assumption, this is how we believe. Okay, so meaning that if we operate in another scenario, when the assumption is not there, when the assumption is not in line with what is really happening, then maybe then maybe the model is not work for that situation, for that condition, because there are certain conditions which not being met. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Doctor, thank you very much. Doctor, one question more about the bootstrapping and art sampling technique. For instance, when we go for the pilot testing, we assume that we have that sample that reflect the final sampling. So we do the pilot analysis, and then after we go for the like main analysis, and we use the final sampling. So I'm a little bit confused between the pilot sampling techniques and bootstrapping techniques, and how we rely on our sample.
Okay, good. I think first of all, we should really aware on the purpose of doing the pilot test. Because I think what you need to do is that you have to read again the main objective of doing the pilot test. Okay, normally the pilot test, the main thing is not to do the statistical analysis. The main thing, okay, the pilot test is more on to see whether the instrument that we use is reliable, is valid or not valid. So first, normally we will bring the instrument to the expert. Okay, so the expert actually they are not answering the question. They are not in the position to tick the score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for example, Likert scale for example. They will not do that. So the expert will evaluate first whether the item really elaborate or really explain the meaning of the concept. That is the first thing. Okay. Second is that to see the clarity of the sentence. Is it clear? Lengthy, for example, is there any double barrel issues? Okay, so those are the main important thing. So it's more on the qualitative judgment, okay, and also the validity as well. First, okay. Second is that after we finish the first round, we go to the second round. We distribute the questionnaire, for example, the instrument to the potential respondent. So the potential respondent must be identical to the real respondent later on. Okay, so and then the what we call the sample normally for the pilot study normally around 30 plus minus 10 for example. Okay, 30. So you can imagine with the 30 numbers of sample, yes, you can run the statistical analysis because SPSS, for example, whatever numbers numbers of questionnaire that you enter, they will analyze even 10. So we is the one that do the judgment lah. So we run the statistical analysis, but then normally we just look on simple statistic, for example, the descriptive, and then also the reliability sometimes. Okay, just give us some extra feeling that the instrument is okay. Just to support, for example, after the expert give the opinion, we do the amendment, we do the correction. So in order to have a good feeling that what we are doing is right, then we will distribute the instrument, the questionnaire to the potential respondent. So the result of the pilot, we will compare. For example, like this: if after we do the correction and amendment, if the pilot study sample answer it very smooth, no issues, it means that our item or our question really reach certain level of quality. So that is the reason why the respondent got no issues in answering the questions. Okay, so the reliability value somehow will support our intuitive our judgment. Okay, but do not rely 100% on a statistical figure at this moment, because it's still a pilot. These numbers is not really reflecting the total numbers of your population. It's good to have statistics, nothing wrong with that, but do not carry it away with that value. Okay, to me, it is more important the subjective comment from the expert. Okay, and then followed by the finding from the pilot, because the pilot will somehow validate or triangulate the amendment that we made. Okay.
Thank you very much for your explain. Thank you very much, Doctor.
Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum, Professor.
Waalaikumsalam, Chaudhry Asimali. Is it correct, your name, Chaudhry?
Yes, Professor, you are absolutely right.
You're from Pakistan.
Yes, Professor.
Okay.
Professor, I have a question, please. Professor, in PLS Smart, when we do, suppose we are doing moderation analysis. So we have some items. Normally, we exclude the items which have a loading less than 0.5. But if some items have loadings more than 0.5, but moderator is still not significant. But if we delete some items, then moderator will become significant. But loadings are greater than 0.5. So we can delete them to make it moderator significant. It is okay or not?
Okay, good question. As a student, I understand sometimes we like to manipulate this. Towards the end, we want to have some result that is favor to us, isn't it? Okay, it's a good question. Like this, try to be not to be too afraid on insignificant result. Okay, it is okay if it is not significant, provided that you already follow all the rules, all the procedures. So if the procedures say you have to delete, you have to delete. Okay, so because that is what we call in quantitative, it is more important to show that you are doing procedures systematically. Systematically means that you follow step by step all the rules or the law. So towards the end, if the result is not significant, it should be okay. So then, okay, maybe that insignificant result is your contribution. For example, maybe, you can see some, you can observe something that may provide some hint why it is not significant, for example. Okay, so for example, like this, for example, let's say when it is not significant, you go back to your data set, and let's say it seems like 70% or 80% of your respondent for example, dominated by female, for example, by female. And then you compare with the previous research. In the previous research, there are fair portion of male and female. Okay, previous research that you base that you use when you develop your hypothesis. Go back to that research. Let's say, for example, most of them have a fair distribution of male and female. And in your research, it seems that 80 or 70% of your population is dominated by female. So you can put some idea there. Maybe because of that gender dominated by female, that may contribute to this insignificant for certain reason, and then you start to what we call to not to justify but to link the issues that you study, how sensitive these issues to genders, for example. Okay, try to really in them. So that's why I say sometimes okay, it is insignificant, but then that will be another contribution where you give some hint, you explain that this insignificant may be due to gender effect, for example. So that is your contribution, even though you are not tested. It just based on your observation. Observation meaning that you compare your profile of your respondent, compare with the other profile respondent. You look some differences that can be a basis for your assumption. Okay, so that what I call a contribution, because the next researchers will pick up your point, and then they may conduct some kind of experimentation. What happen if population dominated by male? What happen if population dominated by female? They will do another experiment. So if they succeed in the experiment, they should thanks to you because you provide the ideas. Okay. So that's why to me every single research have its own contribution, whether it is small contribution back or small or big contribution, but at least we provide something. So as a what we call a research community, we celebrate everybody's works. So that's my opinion.
Prof, thank you so much for your detailed answers. So, but you suggest that if we delete one or two items, it becomes significant, or you suggest that we should not delete items and remain it insignificant?
I would choose that if, for example, the rule suggested that if less than 0.5, then we delete, so we delete. And that may result in significant result. So we live with that, meaning that we accept, yes, the result is insignificant. Then we just understand, we just move forward how to understand some possible reason that may explain this insignificant result. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Prof, if we delete one or two items and then it becomes significant, and previous studies we give the reference that they also do it, and so it can be okay, or?
I don't know. That one is it depends. For example, like this. If for example, okay, for example, okay, if we delete the item, the item normally loaded very low, which is the item is not really explaining the variable. So that's the reason why we delete. Okay, and then if the what we call the group of item, suppose if we delete a lot of item, hopefully towards the end we have 2 or 3 item that can explain the concept of the variable. It should be okay. But then if we delete a lot, become 1 or become 2 item, that will be a bit problematic. So you should explain, you should justify why one item can represent one concept. So that is another issue lah. Okay.
Okay, Professor. Mashallah. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Okay, another question related to limitation of the study.
Alaikum Ahmad.
Okay.
It's me, Hamza. Prof, thank you for this workshop. It was very informative for all of us. Thank you very much. Prof, I just have a question. According to the construct or the variable, as I already asked that, if we want to analyze the items in PLS, we need at least 5 items for each construct. So I have one of my construct 3 items minimum. So is that will cause a problem for me in analyzing later?
Probably, because you have 3, if the respondent, for example like this, you have 3 and the question or the item is really clear, and then the respondent also in terms of the quality of respondent, they are good, meaning that they can understand the question clearly. So when they respond, there will be no issue of inconsistencies because the item is really clear. So probably the 3 item will remain. Okay, but the problem is that sometimes the initial 3 item that you propose have some problem. Maybe it is not clear, some redundancy, plus your respondent also not really illiterate and not really literate. For example, they have also problem. For example, like you send your questionnaire in English, your respondent not really well versed in English, so that will create another problem. So when you enter the score in SPSS whatsoever in PLS, so the system, the computer will found something that some problem. So they will suggest by certain reading, for example, they will provide loading reading whatsoever reading. So they will suggest, okay, because this is not, for example, this is below 0.5 value loading, then they will suggest you to drop certain item. So then you have to drop because that is the rule. So once you drop originally 3 item, then become 2 item, and you drop another 1, become 1 item. So 1 or 2 item, it is very difficult for you to defend that this item really represent or really explain the concept. Of course, you can find some justification, but it is quite challenging. So that's why many authors, many researchers suggested, okay, we start with 5. If later on got issues, the item is not good, you delete 1, become 4. You delete 2, become 3. So then you are in the safe situation. Okay.
Okay,
But
thank
because
you.
if you start
Thank
with
you.
3, if you have to delete, then there will be a problem later on.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you.
Unless, okay, normally unless sometimes you can have 3, but make sure that the instrument is really solid, valid, reliable, where the instrument is already, or we call established. Okay, but the problem is that when you do some modification, okay, you do some modification, you do some amendment, you have the original version, but then you amend, you modify. So once you modify and amend that is not in the real form, in the original form, then that you have the tendency to have the issue of clarity, validity, so on and so forth.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Understood.
Next question.
Hi, Doctor. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullah.
I want to ask you about something. For example, I have 4 variables for 3 countries, okay? And I'm using panel data from 1960 until 2010. But in certain years, the data is unavailable. For example, I cannot find data for 10 years is missed because the civil war or something like that. What should I do here? That's why I'm suffering from.
Okay, Ahmed.
Thank you.
To be frank, I don't know. I don't know how to solve these issues because I don't know. Maybe I have to ask Because I think normally you depend on some secondary data. For example, if you do economic research or finance related to finance research, you are depending too much on secondary data. Okay, so I don't know how to deal with that. I think you have to ask maybe a person who normally use this data. Sorry, Ahmad.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Okay, Idris.
Assalamu alaikum, Prof.
Walaikum salam.
You made mention on the time constraint and limitations. So how can someone apply financial constraint when it comes to limitations? Can financial constraint be applicable to limitation in research? Thank you, Prof.
Okay. So the financial constraint, okay, you have to measure to what extent the financial constraint really affect your finding. Yes, it can be one of the constraint. For example, like this, financial constraint, for example, like this. Sometimes you have to buy. Sometimes you have to buy certain data. Okay, and then suddenly, for example, okay, for example, ideally maybe you have to buy 1,000. Okay, and then because the price is too high, for example, you cannot afford to have 1,000 data, and then you only have 700 data, for example. So meaning that you in terms of number of data, you are lacking in terms of the numbers of data because you cannot afford to buy. So that can be also mentioned. Because it is common, like my study, my research, for example, previously we asked for 600,000 and they're being reduced to 400,000, then being reduced to 200,000. So when the budget is reduced, so instead of we go for interview, for example, 300 respondents, now we have to limit to 100 respondents. Okay, so 100 respondents, maybe the finding may not as the same as 300 respondents. Okay, and people ask why you only choose 100 respondents, why not 300? Because the budget, the government slashed the budget from 400,000 now become 200,000. So we have to live with that. So same like you, for example, maybe initially your plan is very nice, but then since for example, out of the sudden, when you want to buy the data for the secondary data, then the subscription cost is changed, for example. Okay, they have to split it now, that kind of thing. So the more important thing that you have to explain. Okay, you have to explain, and that is the implication. Okay, or maybe for example, I don't know if you're talking about financial, maybe the currency, for example, currency issues, how the currency issues can affect you. Then towards the end, you be more selective. You be more selective in choosing a sample because of the budget constraint. Yes, the one you can highlight.
Okay, thank you, Prof. It's very clear.
Okay, I think I may provide one or two questions. If there is no question, then we can end the session.
Okay. Everyone have any other question?
Prof. Ahmed, just one more last question. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Prof. According as you mentioned that the construct, it will if I find one of the construct, they use, let's say, 3 items, and is that possible to, if I want to put more construct from more items from another let's say another construct from another research paper?
Okay, putting more or less item is you have to be very very careful. As long as the item explain the meaning of the concept, and then it should be okay. What I'm afraid is that when we are eager to add or to add more item, the item not reflecting the meaning of the concept. So that will create more problem later on, because the issue of validity is serious. So adding is okay, but then please make sure that you are adding something that relevant, meaning that strengthen the concept that you want to measure. Okay.
So, Prof, if the construct is already tested from previous study on PLS and it was reliable and there is reliability and validity, so it was high and the consistency was high as well. Is that will give us kind of let's say a hint that this is a good construct, or maybe it's different from study to another?
So the construct is first is that you have to see the construct used in the previous study and in your study. Is it the context about the same? Are you for example talking about the same thing? Okay, sometime the name of the construct is the same, but then because the context is different, that the meaning, the operational definition might be different. Okay, so that's why at the first place, please make sure what is the operational definition for the construct, and then followed by the item which is really consistent with that operational definition.
Correct. Okay, clear, Doctor. Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Okay, have another question? Okay, if not, thank you to PM Dr. Majuso for this meaningful sharing session, and hopefully this knowledge will help all participants, especially students, for doing their research. Okay.
Okay.
So before we end our session, I would like to invite or to give PM Dr. Suresh to share a few words for the last sharing session.